scoured the wreck at the Seacat house for clues.
I remember grabbing one of the KVI or fire marshal, just somebody that was working the scene, and I said, give me some hope, or are you finding something that's going to let everybody know what happened? And I remember he looked at me and he said, I will tell you this, in this instance, justice will be served.
But what did that mean? As another investigator told them,
justice will be served. And maybe justice is he didn't do it. We don't have emotions in this. We are here to collect facts.
And collect they did, including a bit of unburned material on the dining room table in the Seacat home. Quite odd.
It was actually a PowerPoint that included almost like an instructor would be teaching a class on different types of death, suicides, homicide, I believe was listed on there, fire, blunt force trauma, things of that an officer or investigator would be looking at when they're investigating a death of some sort.
Well, that might make sense though if he's a teacher or policeman, but he might have that.
Individually, that probably could be looked at as that.
In fact, said Brett, that's exactly what it was.
It was paperwork that he brought home from school or from class that he had taken, I believe, in college, and it was just scrap paper. He had pulled it in there because on the night before the morning she passed away, they'd been working on a budget, and we did find it looked like somebody was preparing a budget for their bills together because they had separate accounts, so he was trying to show that he could help her out in paying off some of these bills.
And that was the activity in the evening before she died.
Correct.
So it was a kind of a cooperative activity.
According to Mr. Seacat, yes.
Also, Brett said that when he ran into the burning bedroom to try to save Vashti, he was only wearing pants, no shirt or shoes. So
I would expect it to see some type of injury to fire. All we ended up finding when we photographed him later was some very, very minor singeing on his legs from hair. You get more than that if you're lighting a barbecue pit and you singe yourself. And he had a couple of minor blisters on one of his feet. If he'd been over a bed that's on fire to get his wife, I would expect his chest to have some type of singeing. There was absolutely nothing.
What's more, the KPI found a small amount of gasoline on the pants he was wearing. Suspicious? Maybe. But proof of murder, staging the scene, not even close. There was an autopsy, of course, the results of which could be seen as suspicious, or not.
There was no soot in her airway or in her lungs. That would indicate that there were no breaths taken prior to the fire kind of getting into the
fire was lit after she was dead.
You can make that assumption.
Is it possible that she could have poured the accelerant around in various places in the house, lit them all, hopped back into bed, covered herself up, shot herself, and then died, and still had no soot in the lungs? I mean, the fires are just getting started.
It's possible. But if she's made that decision to go to that length, I would expect that she would be very excited. Her respirations would be very, very rapid, and so she would be breathing heavy.
Could be something in her lungs. Some kind of.
That would be my experience, as I've worked multiple fatality fires over the years.
But ATF investigators' opinion aside, facts are facts. And the coroner said there just weren't enough of them to determine whether Vashti's death was homicide or suicide. Just too much fire damage to know for sure. So, Agent Folletti and his team poked around for whatever circumstantial evidence there might be. They went to where Brett worked and were told by co-workers at the Law Enforcement Training Center that on the day before Vashti died, Brett took 2 computer hard drives to the maintenance shop there and asked how to destroy them.
And ultimately, they showed him a torch, and he used a torch to, basically an oxyacetylene torch that burns at a very high temperature. He used that to torch the hard drive.
And then threw them away. 2 different trash cans, along with a couple of cell phones, which he had first pulled apart. Probably. On the other hand, it wasn't like he was skulking around or hiding any of that unusual activity. He even asked his colleagues for help. So, back to the house and the neighborhood around it. Door to door went Folletti and his team of investigators. And 3 doors down from the Seacat house was a woman who said she was having trouble sleeping that night, and so was awake, watching TV in her living room.
And at some point, she believes she heard what was a gunshot. And she believed that was sometime before the fire trucks and the police officers showed up in front of the Seacat residence.
Exactly when each of those things happened, she couldn't say for sure, but reviewing the TV show she'd been watching, she could tell them which scene was playing when she heard that gunshot. And that's how the KBI was able to determine the gun went off long before Brett called 911.
We believe it was about 35 minutes prior to Mr. Seacat calling 911 is when she heard that
Giving
gunshot.
to the company.
Right.
When the ATF's Monty discovered the fire, it was not simply a matter of lighting the bed on fire. Was that where the fire was started?
In my opinion, there were multiple fires started on the second floor of the residence.
Interesting. But it didn't rule out the possibility that Vashti herself started the fires.
There were a lot of things in limbo at that point.
Yes, but their suspicions pointed in one direction, toward Brett Seacat, who was going from grieving, guilt-ridden widower to a serious person of interest, which his half-brother Bobby found preposterous, especially when it came to what the KBI thought was Brett's suspicious behavior at the training center. As a former cop and cop trainer himself, Bobby just knew his brother didn't do it.
When you are in law enforcement and you know about identity theft, those are things you do. You break cell phones and you burn hard drives. Not only was he well versed in identity theft, he was a substitute instructor of it. I think in hindsight, if he had known what was about to happen that very night, he wouldn't have thrown cell phones away. He wouldn't have burned hard drives. He would not have done anything, and he especially wouldn't have spent the night in that house.
Because it would draw attention to it, make him look good.
Absolutely.
Was it just appearances, or was it more than that? Coming up, anger and accusations.
Did you murder her? No. Did you pull the trigger? No. Did you kill her? No.
When Dateline continues.
He ignored the naysayers and never compromised. When Thomas Edison threw the switch, it changed everything. Engineering without compromise. This is the Mazda way, and this is the Mazda CX-5. Skyactiv technology makes it lighter yet stronger, earning a top safety pick, and more fuel efficient than any hybrid SUV. This is the uncompromised Mazda CX-5. What do you drive?
People like my vibes.
I'm a go-getter. I go and get it. And I bring it back.
The right coat says it all. Find yours for less at Burlington.
It's back. Olive Garden's buy one, take one. Go for dinner tonight and take home a second entree for later. All for just $12.99. Choose one of 5 favorites like smoked mozzarella chicken. Then choose another favorite to take home, like new mezzaluna ravioli. Go for dinner tonight and take home a second entree. Buy one, take one. Just $12.99. Go Olive Garden and try our unlimited homemade soup, crisp salad, and warm breadsticks lunch. Just $6.99.
Today's lesson is about Quilted Northern, ultra soft and strong, with clean stretch. It's strong and flexible, so it really holds up. Let's test it. Quilted Northern doesn't break apart. See? Your hiney will be happy.
Google, what is glossophobia?
Glossophobia is the fear of public speaking.
Residue clean, faithful. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
of North Carolina. Live fearless.
She had a thriving corporate career and 2 growing boys at home. Now, Vashti Seacat has been found dead in a house destroyed by fire. But it was gunfire that killed her, not flames and smoke. Could it have been a suicide? It seems she had left behind a note for her family. But investigators have been making notes of their own. And now they have some questions for her husband. Here again is Keith Morrison.
When Brett Seacat arrived for that chat with investigators looking into the death of his wife, Vashti, it was as if he could finally relax after the worst 2 weeks of his life.
Honestly, talking to you guys distracts me from all the thoughts that eat me up of late, so actually I do better in this room.
I did a little talking, I did very few questions. We basically just let Mr. Seacat go, and he talked for multiple hours.
Brett knew the rules, of course, had to know he was very much a person of interest, but he was content to chat back and forth for something like 7 hours. Didn't bring a lawyer with him. Didn't ask for one. Even when the investigators zeroed in on what they saw as holes in his story.
Things just aren't adding up. Okay, I think you know that. We just want to make sure we get all the facts right and get to the truth. Tell me what you want to know.
Brett willingly answered almost every question they had. Like, why there was no real evidence on his body to back up his story of what he did the night Vashti died.
You had no blood on you when supposedly you picked her up in the bed and held her to you close. You had no blood. No, I didn't hold her to me close. I held you had no fire on the bottom of your feet. Now, if you walk through fire, you should have some kind of injuries besides a small injury on the top of one of your feet. I don't know about the bottom of either of them. I had some sort of weird black charring, but you guys have pictures of that. Did I know that I stepped into the fire? I don't.
The investigators were also starting to think that the note in the journal was forged.
But to be honest with you, when I looked at that notebook, I'm going, this ain't right because, well, it slants one way part of the time, it slants the other way part of the time, and these were different. Just tell me what I was, or it's like her handwriting to me, but it's not my handwriting.
But why on the Friday before Vashti died, besides destroying hard drives and cell phones, Brett spent time in his office with the door locked, which was pretty unusual at the training center.
Oh my God, you know I was locked? Oh, screw you. I was crying. You had the door locked, and what was you looking at? Looking at my divorce papers. Problem is, Brett, you're in love. You're still in love with her. Yeah, I am. And she was gonna leave you. There was no doubt about that. That's not why you killed people. Well, some people do. You have no idea how impossible it is. Well, the person that killed her.
But could he answer this central question? Explain the thing that didn't make sense to anybody. Why Vashti, even if she was intent on suicide, why she would destroy